Rushing in here, so we'll open the February 24th planning board meeting. I'll call the roll. I'm here, Mr. Craig. Here. Mr. Winterman.
Here.
Mr. Grove. Here. Mr. Youthy. Here. Vice Chair. I'm sorry. Here. Sounds like somebody's coming. Let's stand and salute the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everybody. Welcome, Caroline. All right. We have a couple of subdivision applications to consider later on in the meeting. But at this point, we have a privilege of the floor opportunity. Is there anything anyone wants to bring up that's not on the agenda? All right. The agenda says we're going to hold public hearings, but we'll do that as we begin the review of each of the applications. So we're going to approval of the January 27th meeting.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Okay. Any corrections, deletions, changes? I didn't find anything, so all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Good job, Holly. And we'll move into reports. Town board met on February 10th. They had held a public hearing on a property, 7039 Ross Road. The code enforcement officer had issued an order to remedy. Apparently there's a unsafe structure, a garage or a barn, something that's been that way for several years. They've been trying to get the owner to do something, and the owner has promised and not followed through. So finally, the code officer said, look, we're going to give you, I'm going to issue this ticket to you. So it came before the public for the town board for public hearing. And there was a little back and forth, but the result was that the owner's been given, Mr. Smith, been given 60 days from the 10th, which is a meeting, to substantially correct the problem. If he has not, the town's going to subcontract out to have someone go in and level it and remove it. He was here. He was present. 7039 Ross Road. It's next to Pat Cooter's. So the owner of the property and his brother were here, but they gave some excuses. But this thing goes back at least 5 years with different orders and no compliance. So that was the action that the town board took. Second public hearing was to review the local law number 1 for 2025, the septic regulations, which is a code book update. We'd submitted all of that back in August, I believe. And so that was passed. There were no comments about it from anyone here. And they then later on in the meeting, they had a resolution to authorize that to start. And so they were sending it on to the attorney, and then the state will go through the process to get it enacted as part of our law. So, and I told them the comprehensive plan would like to know the direction at least to include it in the draft. So it is in the works. Reports, not a whole lot going on. The highway department's very busy. They had made 34 plow runs since the last monthly meeting, and they had done 3 additional ones just to clear out drifts. Superintendent notified that Johnson Hill Road is falling apart totally. And he's going to modify his capital improvement program. So I don't know about, I hear you talking about Canada's Hill Road. I don't know if that's going to be bumped, but they're going to have, they have to do something with Johnson Hill Road. If you've driven down it, it's pretty dangerous right now. Yeah, it's right by you, right?
It's just terrible. I've been coming back, virtual now and coming.
Yeah.
So,
So it's been noted, he said, well, we're gonna put up some rough road signs, which was the least they could do. They did drive down and they had them up there. But that was a new problem and it's going to force itself onto their repair schedule, road repair schedule.
They have an agency or another firm looking into reconstruction of that?
No, that was Jersey Hill.
Drew,
talking-
that was Drew.
yeah.
You said Johnson, sorry.
Right.
Yes, Johnson Hill.
Okay,
Unfinished business, Jersey Hill Road. They've undertaken an engineer's study to fix Jersey Hill Road where it's falling apart. They had talked about possibly moving the road south away from the danger area. Still have to do some reinforcements there. Someone thought that the town actually owned some property there that could be used, but the town does not own anything there. They just have the normal right of way away from the highway. But one of the councilmen said we still should look at that. His comment was, if we put all this money in it now, 10 years down the road, very likely we're going to have to do more. So he's pushing to perhaps look into moving the road, even if it might entail some eminent domain to do that. So they're holding off. They did not accept the engineer's report to move ahead because they want to study that a little further. Let's see. Fire district lines were finally changed. They've been talking about that several years. Richmond and Hemlock serve the town of Canada. And it turned out that the way the boundaries were marked, Richmond was driving through Hemlock to get to some of their covered areas, Hemlock, the same thing. And it didn't make a lot of sense. And they've been trying to work out a districting of that, and they finally did, and it was agreed, and they're going to, the supervisor signed the agreement and the town board passed that, so that's going to happen. So it's going to streamline that coverage. Honey Island Lake Watershed District, the outlet up by Mill Creek had been dredged out and the lake level had dropped to below the weir, which was what they were trying to do because it was overflowing all the time. So it's dropped. And so people all seem to be happy with that at this point in time. No other news from the Honey Island Lake Watershed Task Force. The water district, they've got some unexplained losses of water, about 15% of what they've used, they can't account for. So they're looking into a study. The county told our water department that 7 to 10% is a normal kind of range for unexplained losses. 15% is a bit more, so they're going to look into that. Other than that, they didn't have any issues with the operation. And that's pretty much it. Any questions?
Great report.
Thank you. Okay, County Planning Board, Birch,
Yep, I attended the CRC on February 11th.
got your
and-
mic on? Yeah, okay.
Yep, and the planning board on the 12th. Nothing of consequence for our area. What was interesting, and it came up in a discussion, it wasn't a particular project, but I guess in Canandaigua, Farmington, Victor area, the large developments are going on. There's a lack of electricity. And one developer said that he's doing 61 units and RG&E says they can't supply the power. It cost him $4 million to bring enough power in or something. I don't know. He's trying to work it out. And they're not running any more gas lines. So this development is going to use propane. They're going to put in 61 tanks for people. I suggested geothermal, but or not,
Yeah.
or air source. And the developer's like, oh, no, it doesn't work, but I know it does work, I suspect it's probably cost, but. Anyway, I thought that was interesting that. You know, for these big development, there's lack of infrastructure.
They got some great
Wow.
rebates now, geothermal. Through
Yeah.
National Grid.
Yep. Well,
Great rebates
So
or incentives, they call it incentives.
that's interesting. I'm sure these big developers aren't gonna let that stop them. They'll work out something, but land development is.
they have to, this fellow says he was told it was okay. When he started to plan it, but
Oh.
then when he went to say, I need to hook up, and he said. Something about, well, we could give you enough power for the house, but you can't put in outlets for electrical charging station. But the state, apparently a state code now, building code says you have to put in. Not the station, charging station itself, but an outlet to supply that. It's in the code, so this is kind of like working against each
Oh
other.
my.
I don't, you know, they need to plan ahead.
Does it go along with Hochul's plan, doesn't it? And the storyline on the gas and.
Well, it does as far as, you know, no more gas, but
she wants
All right.
carbon and-
Okay,
we will be.
that's interesting. Anything else?
No,
Questions for Birch? Thank you, that was interesting. Zoning board, I didn't see any meeting notice, any agendas or minutes, so I don't think they met this past month. Code enforcement, you have the CEO's report inside. You can see he's getting a little more organized, but he still has the two different types of databases that they're reporting information on. They did upgrade the one to include the property owner's name, which we had asked for. And so if you have any questions on those, you can talk to Joe Miller or Rich, the deputy CEO. Comprehensive plan, anything?
We did not meet in January, so we'll resume. Or sorry,
February.
we did not meet in February. We will resume meeting next month, so nothing to report.
Okay. Thank you. Questions for Caitlin or anybody here?
How's it going? Okay.
It's going well. We've finished reviewing the whole plan. So we're working on getting a red line version together. And then we'll work on getting some of the survey data together and planning for the public hearings with the town board as well as the public engagement meeting.
You've been getting help from the county, they provided some, right?
Yep, we've got a contract with the county, so we've provided some, and then we've got a few other outstanding items to work on.
You had a few members from the township volunteer to help along?
You?
Okay, get some input from them, so.
Yeah, and we'll have the public hearing and public engagement meetings coming up, so hopefully people who may not be able to participate through the whole process can give us some feedback at
I
that.
commend you on the work that all you have done on it.
Yeah, they're making.
It
good
sounds like
progress.
it's really progressing well,
Thank you.
yeah.
Okay, thanks, all of you. These three at least are on the team. All right, old business. I did want to report that Jody Patchen, the site plan review and approval that we gave last month's meeting. He submitted the revised site plan map with the required easements, water, sewer, road, and showed the electrical also. So it's a very complete, and so I signed off on it. He had given me that authority. So I signed off on it and sent it to building department so they could issue the building permits. So now we have the new business. We have two subdivisions. The first one we're going to do is Catherine Crane. Catherine's on the left. So what we're going to do is the first thing is we're going to open a public hearing. We will then open a review and we'll go through the review. So we need by motion to open the public hearing. Motion, Dwight,
Open the public hearing on the Crane subdivision.
okay, that's the Catherine Crane, they're both, Crane, so Catherine Crane. Okay, and is
I'll
there a
second.
second? Caitlin, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. And we also then will go into the preliminary review, but we need to open that preliminary review by motion also.
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
I'll
Second.
second.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
So I have to write this down in case. All right, so if you look at your application, and Kathy's here with us tonight. Kathy owns a property on County Road 36, just past the Muller Station. And if you look at her application, excuse me, there's not gonna be any development. This is just a simple subdivision, dividing her current property up into two. The north property will, or does contain the house and the services. And the south property is just land. There are no services on it and no structures. So no improvements are proposed, just subdividing a single lot into two. And you have the map in front of you. Very nice, very well done, by the way, Catherine. So any other discussion on this? Questions for Catherine? Yes, Steve.
Say, Kath, is this the piece that was directly across from the old homestead?
That's where my.
Yeah, okay, so then you built this house on that, then, or is that yours, or?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's, okay, that's what I thought. That was where the proposed parking was gonna be for the
Oh,
previous
that was
thing.
years ago, yeah.
Yeah, but that, I'm just trying to get the lay of it, where it was, is all.
So the map shows the location of the house, the driveway, the well, the septic, and an outbuilding, I believe,
Yeah.
down there. Yeah, a woodshed, she called it.
And that's a separate lot from the 4.826 acres.
The red outlined one on the north, is one lot. The red outlined on the south is a second lot. So she's subdividing the south lot away from the existing lot. She currently owns the total red outline. Okay. She owns all of, this is her existing lot of whatever it is, 8.5 acres approximately.
Yeah.
She's gonna cut it in half. She's gonna retain this. Well, this will be the remaining lot, and this will be the one that's subdivided away. So it meets all of our zoning regulations.
We're voting on whether to put that line.
Yeah, some reason I don't have a red thing.
Oh.
That's okay.
Oh, you didn't get a red one?
I did not get a red.
You wonder what I'm talking about, right?
No idea.
I'm sorry, Dwight.
No, Charlie, I have no idea what you're talking. I do now, though. Okay, I got it.
I'm sorry.
I got it.
Okay, I don't know why that
This,
happened.
this is in the rural district?
Yes, this is in the rural district, so any new lots need to be at least 3 acres of land, 250 feet of road frontage, minimum 250 feet wide, minimum 250 feet deep on both north and south boundaries. So this meets all of our zoning requirements in terms of dimensions.
I did have one question,
Yes,
and that's about the wetlands. Does any portion of the site of the proposed action contain wetlands or other water bodies regulated by federal, state, or local agency? You said yes on that, but then,
yeah,
oh, it adjoins it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, but
Yeah.
then you said no elsewhere, so I just wanted to clarify. Thanks.
Okay, so you've jumped to the seeker, okay, but that's fine. Yes, and we've gone through this in the past, and it's not, we don't require any permits from the DEC, but it is a designated well.
Cause on the back, it goes down to the old Mueller parcel there along the creek bed, I guess I'd call it, you know,
It's not, it's down there quite a ways.
yeah.
Any other questions about it? pretty straightforward. If not, I guess I would entertain a motion to grant.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
one
yes, go ahead,
one
Steve.
And just for when we get to another, I'm just trying to, I've never walked this, so I don't have an idea. Like it slopes down, it's kind of open in front along the road,
Totally.
the total open. And then as you progress towards the lakes, back of the lake there, is it trees, isn't it forested or early successional things, or is it?
It's, yeah, yes, it is. It used to be a farmland,
Oh.
that,
What-
those fields used to be farmed. But the county has filled in from the road, when
Right.
they clean out the ditches, they drop it all there and that's made.
So
But
it's basically flat all the way to the east end.
Oh,
of
is
her
it?
property.
For the most, I thought it kind of maybe
drop-off
went down.
begins
Yeah,
be-
okay.
Beyond her
Yeah.
her east boundary.
And I was just trying to get an idea for when we get to the seeker, a box or two to check,
Yep.
that's all.
Okay. All right, I guess we're not gonna do the. Yeah, we are gonna do preliminary approval. Any other questions?
No, I don't.
Or you have of
No.
us, Kathy?
Thank you.
So I guess we'd have a motion to grant preliminary approval.
I'll
At
make a
this point,
motion.
second,
I'll second.
Caroline. Last chance for questions. All in favor? Aye, opposed. Thank you. Okay, at this point, we will review this environmental quality review form, environmental assessment form. Hopefully you've had a look at it. We kind of did the best we could with this, filling this out. Catherine did a good job on it, actually. So questions about the seeker?
I had just a few,
Go ahead, Steve.
if I may.
Yes, you may.
Like I said, number 4 and 5. And that's why I was asking the question, Kathy, because again,
I don't have a copy of it, so you have to read the question.
so it says, check all land uses that occur on, are adjoining or near. So we checked forest. I'm just trying to put my head around, is it really most of the property forest, or is it, and around it, or is it more kind of like rural, non-agricultural?
Forest
It's
everywhere
forested,
that they
yeah.
didn't dump the dirt.
Yeah,
Right.
I just thought the other side of the road was a forested area and
No, there's.
the lakeside.
I used to cut firewood down there when I was a kid.
Okay.
and sell it.
I wonder if we should, is it,
what do you think we should add, Steve?
I'm just wondering, should we also include rural, non-agricultural? Cause it says all uses, and I was just wondering, just a question,
Okay,
just a question, and then you can consider that, and then I was just looking at,
well, hold it. Do you think we
Oh.
could check rural people?
again, it's just a question,
I
and
don't.
it doesn't matter to
I
me.
don't think it's necessary.
I don't think it's necessary.
Okay, so the way I read
Okay.
it.
Go
That's
ahead.
all. And then if I get over to 10 and 11. I just wondered, instead of answering no, would it be more applicable, non-applicable, NA?
All we're doing is dividing off a piece of property. There is no water supply, public.
Which I mean,
private.
isn't it more like applicable, non-applicable?
No, it says, will the action connect to an existing public or private water supply?
Well, it says if no, describe method for providing portable.
None.
Okay, so I'm just wondering, Ted, is it complete like the way it is? And if that's fine with me. It's fine with me. I'm just bringing up a question that I had, the way I read it, the way I interpret it. That's all. That's all.
So it should be NA, right?
I'm not saying it should.
Not applicable.
I'm not saying it should. I'm just
Let's
asking a
do that.
question.
Since it says if it's no, we should describe the method for providing, and there's not gonna be any, so. I'm gonna pencil right in NA, okay, not applicable.
Mhm.
And you're right, Steve. It said no. we
I
should have
just,
filled
that's
that
the way I
in.
read
Look,
it. That's the way I read it. Nothing is
Okay.
right or wrong.
and the same thing on 10, on 11. That says, will it connect to an existing wastewater utility? So it's no, and we'll say not applicable because it's not being developed at this point in time. But those are good, Steve.
I just wanted on 14, because now we talk about the project site itself. It says identify typical habitat. Would early mid-successional also apply? Or, I equate forested, mature hardwoods, things that's my equation of how I equate
There's-
forest.
I would consider it, yeah.
Pardon?
I think they're misremembering what it is.
The walnuts down there are.
Okay, they say I've never been on it.
Yeah.
And again, I'm just asking, I drive by it and I see it's open and I know it used to be proposed parking area, so I can't put my mind around forest,
Oh,
so
that's
I,
where my house is.
well,
but
I thought the
traffic
whole
goes
piece,
down there
right, so that's what we're
Yeah.
talking about,
to that.
that's what we're talking about, the whole property.
Yeah.
And I'm just asking a question basically to myself,
Okay.
that's all. That's all I have.
There are big trees down there. Okay, anything, those are good questions, comments, Steve. Any other comments or questions about number 1 through 20?
Nope.
Okay, given that, we're gonna move to part 2, which is a series of 11 questions. Answer yes, these things will or will not impact the area. So someone want to read those out loud for us?
I'll read them.
Thank you, Birch.
Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use? Planning or zoning regulations? No. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? No. Will the proposed action have an input on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? No. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? No. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy if it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? No. Will the proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies? No. Public-private wastewater treatment utilities? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? No. Will the proposed action result in adverse change to natural resources, e.g. wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna? No. Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? No. Proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? No.
Okay, thank you. And I did run this property through the EAF mapper that the DEC puts out, and nothing popped up on this property, on that report. So since we answered no to all of those questions, by motion, we have to declare either a positive or negative effect of this action on the environment. So by motion, based on the questions on part 2, I have a motion to designate it a
I'll make a motion.
no negative environment.
I'll make a motion with no negative environmental.
Okay, second,
I'll second.
Dwight, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So I'll check that as no negative. All right, at this point, we need to close the public hearing by motion.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Caitlin, second by, was it Rich? Or Rich, okay. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So at this point, we have not identified any additional needs on the map or about the project. So I would entertain a motion to grant final approval and then ask Kathy to bring the required map with Mylar and all of that to
I'll
us.
make that motion.
Okay,
I'll second.
second, Caroline, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So all we need 3 of these with the with his stamp on it and a Mylar. But they need to be large format, 11 by 17, or 11 by 14 at least, with one of the Mylar and 2 paper copies. So,
2 stamped and 1 mile.
well, they all have to be stamped and signed by the
Right.
surveyor. one Mylar and 2 paper. And you can mail them to me, drop them off. I have a stamp and then I'll sign them as being approved. And we'll get them back to you and you take them to the county clerk and record them. Okay.
Okay.
And so we've given you approval and that's the condition to complete the process. No time, well, 62 days you have to do that.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Thank you, everyone. And that's complete, Catherine.
Hey, Ted?
Yes.
You want some help, like, keeping track of these motions or that, or is
Yeah, you
Holly
could-
listening, or?
Holly's, well, she's she's sick, so she's gonna transcribe it from the
Okay,
recording.
okay.
That's why I'm trying to repeat.
I just saw you making notes.
Trying
If
to
you want
repeat
some
at least
help.
Who did it so you can hear them.
Okay.
Yeah, you can record them from now on. Thanks.
You got-
Okay, so
you got
that's
enough
that
to do.
subdivision. Okay, so now we'll move to the second action for new business. And that's a subdivision application by Matthew Crane. You have the application in front of you. His project is 6600 County Road 36. Down the road a little bit. This is the old Proctor property, Stanley Proctor property. Matthew is now the owner of that. And he has worked out an agreement with the Finger Lakes Land Trust to take over the bulk of his property, the bulk of his property. And he wants to retain approximately, at this point, it was an approximate 5 acres, probably a little more, 5 acres for himself. And then everything else in the remainder is going to be transferred to the land trust. And the western end of this property actually connects south end too, right? South and west, both adjoin or abut the Harriet Hollister Park. Coming all the way down the hill to County Road 36. So that's his project plan, is simply to subdivide approximately 115 acres from the lot, with him retaining the approximate 5 acres.
So the back side adjoins Harriet Hollister and the north side there?
Uh,
Kind of
think
grayed
it's
out
this-
on this map. You can
yeah.
see it.
And the plan is the.
Oh, here, I'm reading it like this and I didn't even.
oh, yeah,
The land,
just look at the approximate 5 acres down.
Oh,
I do have one color copy if you want to.
yeah, no, that's fine.
the land trust will sell this to the state. Once
That was my next question. Yeah, how do they benefit from this?
Ooh,
Say, i.e. the land trust.
they-
This is like an interim type
Yes,
purchase for them and then they,
they purchase it, the state wants the land, they purchase it, the state takes forever to buy anything.
okay. So this
So the land trust can move quickly.
quickly,
They have to get it appraised and they come to an agreement with the owner.
I got it.
and Then in 2 or 3 or, yeah, no, I understand that.
She's just describing the process for us.
yeah.
Yep.
And the survey. Yes, the state will.
It takes the state some time.
Yeah.
It can be 2 to 5 years.
Okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
we need to back up a moment.
Oh.
I've got my list and I
Oh.
in order to open a public hearing.
Oh, I
for
thought we
this.
did that initially when. we
That was
did
the
it.
other
That was-
subdivision.
I thought that we did both
No,
of them.
no,
My
that was-
mistake.
Make a motion to open the public hearing.
Thank you, Caitlin. Second. Rich,
Okay.
and then a motion to open the preliminary review.
Make a motion to open the preliminary review.
Dwight,
Matthew.
Second.
Caroline, thank you. Now we, sorry
We're
about
all,
that.
we're all in favor of it. We have to vote on it.
All in favor?
Bye.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Okay, we did both of them. All right, so back to this. So that's the plan. And Matt has got some plans. He actually owns, I think on the tax map, you can see he owns the next small property that adjoins there too. So he's going to work with those properties.
Okay.
They are going to have an easement from the retained 5 acres across the corner of the lot to get to the land trust land. Because that's easier than them putting a curb cut in from County Road 36. They could do that. Okay, so we're not creating a non-conforming lot here. The remaining 115 acres is conforming because it's got acreage, has road frontage, and you could put a driveway in there to access that land. So it's not a landlocked or a property that's not accessible. And that was the one question that I asked. I guess it's kind of steep in areas, but they could put a curb cut with a driveway in there to access that portion that's being subdivided away. No utilities on the property that's being retained. Any utilities are on the small property that he's retaining.
Yeah, I guess I didn't grasp what you were saying about the easement. Cause
Well-
the frontage is at least 250.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure where you were talking about an easement.
See, but it's in that little tiny
Yeah.
corner in the highlighted area. You can see little striped. It's just a little box.
Oh, yeah.
It's
That's-
just hard to see.
He's going to grant the land trust an easement to access that simply because it's easy.
Oh, I see.
Because of the gully location and all that.
What would
It's,
that be
yeah,
like
log
access?
road.
That's his access off the road off of County Road 36?
Yeah,
Where would the people park then? I just, say
well,
along the road.
if,
There's no public access.
right, at this point in time, there's no public access. If the land trust or whoever eventually owns it wants to develop it, that would be the point in time where you'd have to designate parking and all of that. But my point was, according to our subdivision regulation, it has to be accessible from the road. And so it could be accessible, or in the intermediate
Oh,
interim,
okay.
he's giving them an easement
I.e. if
just to make
someone
it easy with the land trust.
were to be
And
dropped off,
it's an existing road, little rough, but it's an existing road there, and he's gonna write it into his deed then on what he's retaining.
So that little corner is the logging road? Yes. Okay, thanks.
Okay. Well, you'll have a lot of
Any-
hunting land, won't you? Huh? Forever, and you don't have to pay for it. Yeah.
Okay. So any other, again, the exact area that he's gonna retain is undefined, gonna get a survey in there and, make it the easiest thing for all of them, yeah. For a survey, okay. So I told these folks that what they had given us was adequate. I know it's a little sketchy on the property that he's retaining, but the final survey is gonna show all of the locations of the
Mhm.
buildings on the property, the well, septic, driveway access, all of the things that we need on a survey, they will provide, but since it's out for contract, we wanted to get this part moved along so they can move along with this transaction.
Got it.
Okay,
Mhm.
questions? All right, so at this point, we can, by motion, grant preliminary approval through the application.
I'll make a motion to grant preliminary approval.
Okay, is there a second? White, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed. So now we'll move to the seeker for this, the environmental quality assessment form.
I'll make a motion to open the seeker review.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
All right, so hopefully you've had a chance to look this over. Again, the way we say this, that on question number 3, the acreage is not actually being disturbed, but that's the amount that's left. Okay,
I was gonna say, so
So,
the acre
well,
should be like
150
120, right?
total acreage is
Yeah.
120,
No.
approximately.
That was the question I had, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Question.
Yes, Caroline.
Number 9, and I'm kind of new, so I'm just trying to understand all this.
You're on
I'm actually
9?
Not that new anymore, but it's taking me a while.
You're on 9.
Number 9, yeah. Does the proposed action meet or exceed the state energy code requirements? And you have yes. And then it says, if the proposed action will exceed requirements, describe design features and technologies. So I think, and that wasn't described, but you did put yes on
It's,
that.
yeah, we usually read that as it meets, just because,
I figured it met the standards
Yeah.
because there's nothing to meet.
this
Okay.
is a question that really,
Oh, it does?
I know, this is a tough one.
Okay.
It's very ambiguous,
Okay, so.
you know, they are,
and this is an all-purpose form. It's
Yeah.
used for
Yeah,
site
it's-
plans,
I learned.
special
Yeah.
use and all that, so. It
Okay.
really, in my mind, there should be an NA
right,
box on several of these, so we
Right.
could just check them. But
right.
this is what the state's given us to work with, so we do the best we can. And we try to be consistent, but
Right,
I'm not sure we're always consistent, application to application.
probably to be consistent with the other one, perhaps. 9, 10, 11 could be
I'm
on
good
A,
with that. They
you
would be,
know?
these are the questions that, I don't know if you have
Yeah.
it, but it's, will
Again,
it
just to be
connect to
consistent,
water
that's
or
all.
sewer? So I'm gonna write in here, this would be, this is the original. Where is it? Oh, here it is. I'm going to write in here on those two questions, NA applicable, because the answer is no. Right?
Yep.
So. All right, anything else on the form?
I had a 1 or 2.
Okay,
I
Steve,
just wanted on
Yep.
5, 4 and 5 again. I just want, would it be more applicable rural and non-agricultural? Is that ag down there
which question are you on?
on 4 and 5?
Oh, you're on.
Say all
5.
land use that occur
Could be
on or
non-
adjoining, is it? I think it's more like rural non-agricultural, because I don't think there's any agricultural happening, is there? Huh?
Said a timber or.
Oh, okay, okay.
What, we can add something, Steve. Which one do you?
I just want a rural non-agriculture, I just, that's all.
Well-
It's agricultural, if it was lots of forest there,
So I just asked some questions.
Okay,
I don't know the whole history.
next one.
I just, and then again, on 14.
Oh, okay.
It occur on the property, let's see. I guess probably to be consistent. Well, okay, I'll let that go.
Yeah, it's all tree. I mean, they're just trees.
Yeah.
on it,
I'll let it go.
and steep slopes.
I'll leave it.
Okay,
Yeah, that's all.
all right.
No, so like say we corrected the 115 to 128 pieces.
Yes,
Got it.
yes.
That's all I got.
Any other questions on the 1 to 20? Part 2, the same questions that we had on the previous one. I'm going to say those are all no. Rather than read through those a second time, same questions. The answer's all no. Anyone agree? Everyone agree? Yeah. All right.
Bert did a fine job
Bert-
again reading
yeah.
those off.
And
As he
so
always
we
does.
will move to part 3. And this is by motion, we have to declare a positive or negative environmental effect.
I'll make a motion that it does not have.
No negative.
No.
No negative impact.
Okay. Is there a
Second.
second? Caitlin, all in favor?
All right.
Uh, Okay, so that's check. I'll fill this in later. Okay, so now we need to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Caitlin, thank you.
Second.
Birch, thank you. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so at this point, we have not identified anything other than getting a completed survey map. So I propose that we stop at this point. So you get the survey map. Went over, showed you the requirements, and if you get one of the local surveyors, they'll know what our code requires and what needs to be, and then you can bring that back to our next month's meeting and we'll okay it. I feel a little I don't feel comfortable to say, let me just look at it. I'd like our board to look at the final survey map. So we'll meet in March. You can just let me know if you can meet that. If you can't meet that, you've got 6 months between preliminary. It would be the fourth Monday. I do not know. There's a calendar up there. That's February.
The 24th.
Oh, yeah. March is always the same date. So it's March 24th. And you will be the first one on our agenda for old business, and just, communicate if you have an issue or questions about it. And the things we like to point out, and I think I mentioned, we need all of the property lines, all of the structures, well, septic, any existing easements, any existing power lines, all of those things need to be on it. And we usually ask for contour lines, but we know that that's all very steep, but perhaps the contour lines that around the 5 acres that you're keeping. But I don't think we need the contour lines on that steep balance of the project. So those would be the things that we want to see. Any questions for us,
Just.
Matthew, or
I do, yeah.
okay, Steve?
But
Yeah,
I'm just, things just go so quick sometimes. I don't grasp it all at once. So you got a house on here, don't you? That's it then. And where would that be again? Because I look at retained by seller, that and the sign. And what's that? And I just saw this. What's that? I'm just curious.
that's a property that owned by someone else.
Okay, that just juts out.
This
Okay,
is-
that just,
Here, this. makes
I got it.
didn't- So he's retaining this portion.
Yeah, that's okay.
He's
That,
gonna provide us a survey map of this
Okay.
portion. And you're right. There's a house here.
yeah,
There's a house over here, but that's on the next property.
I got
So
it.
that's the house that he's fixing up and.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
That's a one away because that was my one question on the seeker. I thought one of them boxes should be residential and then I got thinking, no, he doesn't live there.
Down there.
Huh?
I mean, this houses are all spread out. so-
Yeah, but yeah, yeah,
Okay.
it's straight in. I thought, no, he doesn't live there.
I don't mean to go too fast, Steve. but-
No, that's not your fault. It's just these senior moments that keep jumping in. Can't help it. Got it. Oh,
Okay.
one last question, if I may. Who did your log, just out of curiosity, who did your logging? Oh, they did, okay. I just wondered if anyone I know them. Yeah, they come in with the horses?
No,
Oh.
no, they actually, they had Mennonite, it was Amish animal, they said Mennonites running
Hmm.
the skitters.
Oh, okay,
They're running
okay.
them, had
Okay.
Mennonites running.
yeah, okay.
They from Indiana, from the south,
No, other way, towards Buffalo.
towards Buffalo.
I didn't even know this.
So what I would suggest is once you get that map, bring it down and we'll go over it just to make, just like we did the preliminary, if that's not, if you'd like, just to make sure everything is on there that we're gonna need. And then have the final ones for the meeting. And again, if you're not ready for that, let me know and we'll just push it off a month. Mhm. Okay, sure. We just need it to be an official stamped, signed, by a licensed engineer, surveyor, or architect. With all the appropriate information on it, and you can handle it. And so we'll plan to meet March 24th right here. We start at 7. You see, we have a few preliminaries, but it shouldn't take us too long to get through that. Yeah, let us know, let me know if there's an issue and we'll just. Yeah. For a while at least, so,
Yeah.
That's where.
okay,
Thanks, guys.
you're welcome, thank you.
Do.
Okay. This point, privilege of the floor. Anything anybody wants to bring up? There is a meeting, by the way, New York State Parks and Historic Preservation is having a meeting here on March 3rd to talk about parks and their strategies, and it can be questions, right? That's,
I think it has to do with trails and area policy.
And it's on the 5th. I was
Oh,
under
it's
the
the 5th?
impression.
Yeah.
okay, thanks. It's open to the public.
Well, they would like you to,
RSVP via email.
Oh, I didn't read that carefully then.
It was a postcard that the state park department sent out to, I think, whatever the radius would be that they felt needed to be informed of changes at the park. And I believe it's just an informational meeting
Trail.
on trails. That's what they mentioned.
Okay, so it's not,
But Birch, it could also be trail usage.
yes, well, that's, yeah,
yeah,
trails and usage.
so that'd be the only other thing I wanted to mention as a possible.
Do they still allow hunting in the park?
They still allow hunting in the park, but for the past year or maybe two, they have not allowed horses to use the trails in the park.
Oh, no kidding.
There was a little bit of a conflict, I believe, between the bike riders and the horses, and the bike riders won.
And
That might have been
I
a
think-
lot of states.
I think you even have to have a dog leash in the park if you're in the park.
there is,
It's like, jeez.
no small game hunting. There's no hunting in the spring.
Okay. Okay. I know they used to have a box there. You go in, you just sign in.
Small game. It's only, there's deer and bear in the fall,
Okay. And small game in the fall?
whatever.
Yeah,
is
okay.
Permitted in the. fall.
Yeah,
And you
I haven't
need-
been there in ages.
You have to get a permit.
Great resource, but haven't been there. Don't need it,
We go there all the time,
yeah.
like those trails.
That might be. that's-
Okay, anything else?
No?
Motion to adjourn?
I make the motion to adjourn.
Dwight, second,
Second.
Caitlin, okay. Thanks, everyone.
She behaved terrible again. didn't she?
What's that?
Behaved terrible.